Hi, this is Marty from Photoshop Arthouse. Today, I'm going to show you how to add faces, graphics, or text onto a rough stone wall or pavement. For your convenience, I provided this stone texture that we'll use as a base. Its link is in my video's description or project files. The first step is to make it into a displacement map, which will make our subject, graphic, or text look as if it's wrapping itself around the contours of the stone texture. To do this, make a copy of the background by pressing Ctrl or Command J. Displacement maps look best when they're blurred, so go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. Blur it 3 pixels. Go to File and save a copy. Save it to your desktop for quick access and name it Displacement Map. Save it as a Photoshop PSD file, then click Save. Now that we saved it, we can delete the layer by pressing the Delete key on our keyboard. Open a photo of someone or something, or a graphic that you'd like to place onto the stone background. If you prefer to place text onto the stone, you could skip the next few steps. We'll separate our subject from its background. There are many ways to do this, however, for this example, open the Quick Selection tool and click Select Subject. Photoshop automatically does its best to select the subject. It's not necessary to refine its edges. If there are any areas it missed, just drag the tool over those areas. To remove any unwanted areas, press and hold Alt or Option as you drag over them. We'll cut and copy the subject onto its own layer by pressing Ctrl or Command J. We'll place our cutout subject onto the stone background by pressing V to open our Move tool and dragging it onto the tab of the stone background. Without releasing our mouse or pen, drag it down and release. To resize it, press Ctrl or Command T to open the Transform tool. Go to a corner and press and hold Alt or Option as you drag it in or out. To reposition it, go inside the Transform's bounding box and drag it. Then press Enter or Return. If you want to add text or replace your subject with text, open your Type tool and type Picker. Pick a font. We'll adjust its size in a moment. Make the aliasing smooth, and for this example, I'll choose Center Alignment. Click the color box and pick a color. Click on your document and type out your text. To adjust its size, highlight the text and drag the size icon to the right or left. Open your Move tool and center the text over your document. If you want to add a border to it, double-click an empty area of the text layer to open its layer style window and click Stroke. Pick a color for the stroke and adjust any other settings you like. Once we have our text, face, or artwork on the background, we'll convert it into a smart object so we can modify it non-destructively. Click the icon at the upper right of the Layers panel and click Convert to Smart Object. Go to Filter, Artistic, and Dry Brush. The brush size is 6, the brush detail is 10, and the texture is 1. Then click OK or press Enter or Return. Go back to Filter, Sketch, and Photocopy. The detail is 5, and the darkness is 10. Double-click the Blending Options icon to the right of Photocopy and change the mode to Soft Light. change the Subject's Blend mode to Overlay. Next, we'll adjust its contrast by going to Image, Adjustments, and Shadows Highlights. If you don't see the entire panel, check Show More options. The panel always opens with these default setting amounts. For this image, I'll drag the shadows amount to 30% and the highlights amount to 35%. Feel free to adjust them based on your subject's tones. Drag the shadows highlights below Dry Brush. This gives our subject a bit more punch. As I toggle back and forth, we can see the difference. Next, we'll displace it to the contours of the stone background. Go to Filter, Distort, and Displace. Make its horizontal and vertical scales 10 or 15, stretch to fit, and repeat edge pixels. Click the displacement map file you saved at the beginning and click Open. Next, we'll blend our artwork more into the stone surface. Double-click an empty area of the layer to open its layer style window. We'll use the Blend If feature that basically uses the luminosity of layers to blend them together. The current layer represents the active layer, which in our case is the artwork. The underlying layer represents all the layers under the artwork, which in our case is the stone texture. Moving the black and white sliders on the current layer will cause the dark and light areas of the artwork to disappear. Moving the sliders of the underlying layer causes the areas of the stone to show through the artwork. The white slider affects the lightest areas in our image, and the black slider affects the darkest areas. If we choose to, we can smooth the blending between the two layers by Alt or Option clicking in the middle of any of the sliders, which splits them in two. Dragging each half of the sliders will smooth out the transition. In this case, however, we don't need to do that. Simply drag the white slider of the underlying layer to the left to reveal the amount of stone texture you want. Next, we'll brush out areas of our subject to blend it in better with the stone background. Click the Layer Mask icon to make a layer mask next to your subject. Open the Brush tool and make sure black is your foreground color. If it isn't, press D on your keyboard. Open your brush picker and scroll down to the Legacy Brushes folder. Open it and scroll to the Thick Heavy Brushes folder. Click the Rough Round Bristle. Then press Enter or Return. Brush over areas of your artwork that you'd like to mask out. Lastly, we'll place our entire image in perspective. Click the New Layer icon to make a new layer. In this layer, we'll make a composite snapshot of our image by pressing Ctrl-Alt-Shift-E on Windows or Command-Option-Shift-E on a Mac. Go to Edit, Transform, and Perspective. Go to a bottom corner and drag it out. Then press Enter or Return. This is Marty from Photoshop Arthouse. Thanks for watching.